Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Sunday? I'm doing great, my girl's doing great, my family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great, even though we're in the midst of another lockdown. If you could please hit that like button, if you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button to get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. So today, I'm gonna do a real breakdown of your bit if you were working to get parole and how that would start, how you would base what's expected of you, and what behavior would affect your chances along the way. So anybody who gets a federal sentence 2 years plus a day is going to go through reception. Now, when you go through Joyceville, they're gonna do a bunch of tests. You're gonna go on computers, they're gonna have all these multiple choice questions. They ask you the same question over and over and over, and it's really just manipulative questions to see where your head is at. They ask you the same questions with different answers to try to get you tripped up to see if you're lying on it or if you're being honest. And from that, they calculate what kind of help you're gonna need, and that is how they structure your correctional plan. They'll tell you if you need psychologists, they'll tell you if you need addictions counseling, they'll tell you if you need violence prevention. Whatever it is, that is where they're gonna base their criteria for you to get parole. When you go through reception, you're gonna get a parole officer. That parole officer is gonna sit you down, and before you even get in there, there's a high likelihood they've already decided what they think of you as a person. So let me explain something to you, and this is detrimental. If you have any chance of getting a federal sentence and you have any plan on getting parole and turning your life around, your behavior in the provincial system matters. It will definitely affect your placement, your classification, and your parole eligibility. So if you're in the bucket smashing people constantly in seg, getting caught with weapons, getting caught with drugs, right parole right out the window. It ain't happening. Now, obviously, they do not expect perfect behavior because you are a criminal and you are new in a sentence. And believe me, I've seen guys that come in, perfect behavior from the start, and when they go up in front of the board says, you have manipulated us, you're not getting parole. There's no way you went from that guy in the community to Mr. Perfect the day you walk into the system, parole denied. So you have to play honest. And they expect that stuff can happen once in a while. It's just about how you handle yourself on a day-to-day. Now, if you're somebody who wants to be involved in all the fuckery, if you're somebody who wants to be involved in the subculture and smoking and drinking and doing mollies or popping perks or whatever it is that you want to do, just understand that they do urinalysis, and every time you get a dirty urinalysis, your eligibility likelihood goes down more and more. And as soon as you get a dirty urinalysis on the inside, whether you're an addict or not, you will get the stipulation of do not use drugs, do not consume alcohol, know where alcohol is the main source of income, blah, 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 and your parole will be even more difficult than necessary. So, like I said, you will be in reception for anywhere from 3 to 9 months probably, depending on if you do your program there. If you do your program there, it will probably help your classification. If they want to just classify you quickly because you're most likely just a stamp case of high medium, then they're just going to ship you off to Collins Bay or to Workworth Penitentiary without you really having any say in it at all. If you're somebody who has an ability to get parole or possibly eligible, then they may help you. They may be a little bit flexible. They may give you options on where you're going to do your time. Now, I will say this. Once the decision is made, you can put in a rebuttal. You can argue about going to that penitentiary. Most likely, you're going to that penitentiary. Rebuttals rarely, if ever, work. And you see guys do it all the time. Doesn't work, okay? So, when you get to your mother institution, you're going to get another parole officer. This parole officer is going to get your whole file from reception. Now, keep that in mind as well. You now have your provincial record and your reception record striking against you. So if you're effing around here, you're effing around here, your parole is done. It's out the window. Now, I will say this. I got parole in my last bit. Now, I never got parole to go out to the street early. I got parole 5 months before my stat, which means in 5 months I would have been getting out anyways. And I was going to do a program that was 6 months. So I actually stayed in something longer than I would have had I just waited for my stat release. But I needed the program, so they gave me parole to that. But I would have never been eligible to any parole other than to Stonehenge Therapeutic Community. But if you're a first-time federal offender, no violence, maybe possession of a firearm as long as you don't have heavy gang involvements and STG files on your record. If you're just possession with the intent of possession for the purpose of trafficking and just stuff like that, break-and-enters, anything non-violent, Schedule 2 offenses, you have a high likelihood of getting parole. Now, when I started doing pen time, it was almost impossible to get parole if you were not a first-time non-violent offender who really didn't have a bad provincial record or record going through reception, because at that time they just weren't into letting people out of prison. It was about keeping the prisons as full as possible. There was a conservative government, and that's just what it was about. But now the Liberals have kind of taken power, and even though it's conservative in Ontario now, we all know that the Conservatives here are Liberal, okay? And at the end of the day, a lot more people have been getting parole in the last, I'd say, 10 years. And that's also because they've shut down multiple prisons, which has led to overcrowding. And they really have no choice but letting some people out on parole, or people just be stacked up on top of each other. So also keep that in mind. You do have a chance, as opposed to back in the day where it was pretty unlikely, specifically if you were on more than your first offense. Now, if you have good behavior through your bit, there's a good chance you can get parole. You're probably going to have to go to a halfway house, spend 6 months or so in a halfway house before you'll be able to go home. But it still gives you more opportunity, gives you an opportunity to get a job, which is the number one most important thing if you plan on staying out. I'll be doing a video about that soon. But it allows you to start banking money, because you don't really have major bills. Some halfway houses might take a percentage of your wages for room and board. But if you're not making a ton of money, they probably won't do that. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to just save and stack money to put yourself in a better situation. And that is the goal. But let me explain something. 1 or 2 bad incidents during your sentence, so getting caught with dope, getting caught with a weapon like a shank or something like that, multiple bruise, getting caught doing tattoos, anything like that will affect your chances of paroles. Now, you have minor misconducts and you have major misconducts. A minor misconduct is a paper decision. You'll just be sentenced to some minor thing like a $10 fine or something like that. But if you have a major misconduct, these will go on your record. And when you are in your parole hearing, they will come up and they're going to ask you directly why you got this misconduct, this misconduct, this misconduct. If you were involved in this, and this, while you're supposed to be working on rehabilitation and making yourself better, then why should we believe that you're going to do better on the outside and not get involved with anything along those lines? And you have to be able to give them a good answer. They know everything about you that's ever been in the system government-wise. They got it all. Everything about you. So if you go in there, you lie just a little bit, that parole hearing is over. Except they'll let you finish. They'll let you talk. They'll make you believe you have a chance to get out. But they'll know if you're lying, and believe me, you will have no shot. It's nerve-wracking in a parole hearing because they grill you. They're not gentle. They come at you full force and try to stumble you on your own words, try to make you say things that you're not about to say. They try to make you admit the things that you did. That's just what parole hearings are about. They're going to try to put you out there as somebody you're not. And you got to argue valid points as to why you're not that person. You understand? It's a trap. Now, if you know what you're doing and you go in there and you're honest about who you are, then you got that chance to get out. I went in there and they asked me questions about my whole life. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why was this your motive at this time? And why was this? And I just told them straight up, I was a drug addict. I wasn't thinking straight. At the time, I had no respect for anybody, not even my family. I had no respect for myself. So why would I have any respect for strangers? I thought I was a castaway. And I just told them straight up. And that's why they gave me my opportunity at parole. They understood that I had been through a lot. They had seen that I had been sexually assaulted when I was younger. They knew all about my brother's case, obviously. And all of that played against my eligibility. Now, I was lucky this time to get out because my past bit, my second federal bit, they literally put my name into a place of high risk where they could take your file and just throw it in the garbage. They didn't have to apply for anything if they didn't feel like it, because I was deemed high risk offender and my likelihood of becoming a better member of society was basically nil. Basically, my recidivism rate was through the roof, right? I fell into that zone. But my last bit, something had changed. Something had changed. Normally, I was comfortable in the system. My last bit, I was fighting and I was getting caught up in stuff. And it was clear that I didn't want to be there anymore, that I was past that. And at the end of the day, I got my shot. I went to treatment. And here I am today, 3 years later, standing on my own too, living on my own, have turned my life around greatly. And at the end of the day, I was caught up in the system in a bad, bad, bad way. I was just on that wheel, going in circles. And if I was able to get away from that, if me was able to get away from that, then I truly believe that anybody can get away from it, because I was content. I was sold on that being my life for the longest time. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you guys don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my finger and every single person gets paroled, and that's what I do, nobody goes back to prison, nobody is addicted to drugs, nobody experiences abuse, then that is what I would do. But that's not a reality, especially in 2021. We know the world's just kind of a mess right now, and you got to hold it together. And hopefully these videos will help people prepare themselves if they have to go into prison or if they're dealing with addiction. That's my goal, to help anybody that I can. If you want to talk to me, you can hit me up on Instagram, the new Matt Clark, all small letters, all one word. I'm not on Instagram a ton anymore, but I will get back to you at some point, and I appreciate the feedback either way. But I just say, if you really are intent and serious about getting parole, okay, you have to go in with the mindset where you can't get caught up in stupid shit. Now, obviously, it's prison. Anything can happen. Sometimes you're thrown into a situation where you don't have any options. But I think people in the system understand that. It's just patterns of behavior. Day after day after day after day. It's one thing if you have one scrap here and one scrap here, but it's not a consistent pattern of behavior your whole life. It's another thing when all you do is fight, and then you're up in the parole board saying, I don't fight. I don't like fighting. I don't want to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I just think if you're serious about parole, you got to stay away from all the BS, and you got to put yourself on the path of success. Do school. Do as many programs as you can. You know, go to the gym. Get in good shape. Make yourself as healthy as possible so you're ready to hit the pavement running when you get out, and you're not going to get exhausted. Because let me tell you something. It is overwhelming as hell trying to deal with parole and trying to get everything in your life in order at the same time while trying to jump through all those hoops. It can get super overwhelming. So you need to be fit and prepared for that mentally. And that is what you need to use your time for. If you could please hit that like button. If you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. I'd say most guys that aren't super violent offenders nowadays have a good chance of getting parole. It's all about how you behave from the day you get in to the day you're in that parole hearing. They don't expect perfection because perfection doesn't exist, especially when you're in prison. It's almost impossible to never get caught up in anything. It's pattern of behavior, and it's how motivated do you really look to do better. And that's the best advice I could give you guys. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Clark.